Viewer discretion advised.
Two elderly women brutally raped inside their homes in rural East Alabama. The man who did it is unidentified and still on the loose. We head to Talladega County, where investigators are desperate for leads that will bring a rapist hunting unlikely prey to justice. I'm Jessalyn Adams, and this is Getting Warmer.
The house and the home that you loved, you liked where you lived, you never get to go back and live there again. It's, I don't know what you would say what it is, but you can't go back there. You miss being outside and walking over your grass, and picking some fruit out of your yard, and seeing all that, and you lose it all. You lost everything. And he took that away from me.
This quaint town, tucked away in the sleepy foothills of Talladega County, may not look like much, but Jane and her family are proud to call Montford home. Jane lived alone off a quiet county road. The home, once filled with happy memories, now hosts her worst nightmare.
July the 28th, 2013, we received a call on Watts Road in the Montford area about an elderly female that had been sexually assaulted. She was able to describe a black male assailant and possibly a white vehicle was involved. And it was more than just a sexual assault, it was also a robbery.
As she did every Sunday, Jane went to church, but this time she stayed longer than usual for a Sunday school party. Unknowingly, she returned home to an unwelcome visitor.
I think he was either there or right behind her when she came in, but we found some evidence where he may have parked on the backside of her house. It speaks to a level of surveillance on his part for, knowing that she's there alone, and that she'll, when she comes back, more likely she's going to be alone too. So I think it's not just random. He's working on this, working his victims.
I heard a knock on the door, and I was expecting a young man from down the street, so I opened the door, and it wasn't him. It was a man, and he was selling books. It was a red book, and I told him, I said I wasn't interested in a book. And he asked me, he said, "Are you alone or by yourself?" And a light went on in my mind, and I knew that something was going to happen, and he pushed his way in, and he told me he wanted all my money.
My money.
And he stood behind me while I emptied the money out of my billfold. And I told him, I said, "Okay, you've got all my money, you can leave." And he said, "No, I'm not through with you yet." And I knew then what was going to happen. And he made me lay down across the bed. But I had a pillow that had a gun under it. And I thought if I can just get that gun, maybe I can shoot him. And I reached for the gun, and I had it in my hand, and he saw it. He knocked it out of my hand. He told me if I didn't do everything that he told me to, that he would kill me. And I was afraid he would, and I was scared that he was going to pick up the gun and shoot me. And I thought, okay, God, I'm ready to go. And so I thought, okay, it's all right. I'm going to heaven. I knew I was going to heaven. But then I got to thinking about my children and my grandchildren. I didn't want that. I didn't want them to remember me like that their mother had been murdered. It just, I didn't want that.
Jane called 911 immediately after the assault. The Talladega County Sheriff's Office responded to the scene.
Well, when you first get the call, you really don't have that much information until once you arrive on scene. and you know there's been a violent attack. But once you get there and you get to interacting with the victim and seeing the effects that it has on the victim, it really makes you want to do all that you can to get the case solved, you know, and the offender where he needs to be in jail.
Even though this had just happened to our victim in this case, she was able to provide a lot of detail pretty much right out the gate. She is definitely strong-willed, and I imagine, you know, she has never hesitated once if we have asked her to try something or you know, to try to get to spread the information that, hey, we're still looking for this guy. She's never hesitated. She's always willing to help us if it gets this and prevents it from happening to someone else. So, I mean, you have to admire her spirit and her tenacity.
Jane's vivid description helped forensic artists create sketches of the attacker, but it wasn't enough for a positive ID. Fortunately for investigators, the rapist left behind something that revealed a shocking connection: his DNA. So, and you found out shortly or somewhere after that this had happened before and close by.
Yes, we were actually able to link our case with Calhoun County's case that occurred in July of 2012, and then also involved an elderly female that had been sexually assaulted as well.
Calhoun County is northeast of Talladega County. The police report shows an 82-year-old woman was raped at her home, also on a Sunday. Only this time, the rapist attacked before church.
Well, it really shocked me because she was about 14 years older than me. And I thought, what kind of monster would do this to elderly women? I don't know how many he'd raped before us or how many he's raped since, but he's a coward.
An unnamed coward who continues to walk among us.
We were hoping that maybe their victim could give us some more information than our victim could. But you know, she's elderly as well, and she did not get the you know, the view of him as our victim did. So we were kind of, you know, we've got this and this, but it's not there.
Investigators believe the rapist is still on the prowl, so they're working feverishly to close the case before his next attack.
You know, just the fact that the way he carried out this, you know, this is not just a one-time thing. This is something that he has done before. And the fact that he is targeting women who are alone, elderly females, are kind of, you know, that by itself is alarming. And when you put it all together, it's just kind of you know, it's just one of those things where you really want to try to bring some closure, not only to the victims, but, you know, keep this from happening to someone else.
I think they're due to the nature of both of ours and Calhoun County's incident. There's been some surveillance involved. I don't think this is just a random incident between both. I think he may have, you know, watched the victims for a period of time before making his attack. It could be somebody from the area, somebody knows the vehicle. You know, could be somebody with some violent tendencies that somebody knows. Any little thing could break it wide open.
What is the one thing that maybe really stood out to you about this case? Just the one thing that doesn't sit right?
His boldness. You know, I mean, especially more so on the Calhoun County case than ours. I mean, just pulling up behind her, you know, at a random house. I mean, if he didn't know, I mean, who's to think there's not, you know, somebody in the house that's going to come out and get him, you know? And he's apparently not afraid to leave his DNA, you know, so evidently he knows that it's not in the system. And his, you know, the level of brutality for an elderly victim too. He definitely needs to be off the street. Who's to say the next victim's not going to live? You know, I mean, it's either going to be another rape victim or possibly a homicide victim next time. And that's definitely something that we don't want.
6 and 7 years later, the Talladega and Calhoun County Sheriff's offices have run out of leads, but they are not giving up.
We're going to follow it to the end of the earth and follow it till the lead dries up. But it's never cold. In my mind, it's never cold. It's always active, and we're working and doing everything that we can to make sure this the offender's brought to justice.
This updated suspect sketch was released in December 2018, so while the case may be considered cold, investigators are hot on his trail.
You can run, but you can't hide. You know, it's one of those sayings, but, you know, I have no doubt that at some point, you know, I may not be able to say when or give you a good time frame, but there's no doubt in my mind that at some point we will be able to identify him and hold him accountable for it.
My life today, I'm very cautious, even after 6 years, about people I see. Where I go, my lifestyle has changed. I don't trust people as much as I used to. I miss the person I used to be. And maybe one day I will get back to that person, but I don't know if I will. They take a part of your life away from you. And I hope that his life gets messed up as much as he messed up mine. And you know, God says you have to forgive. And I hate to say it, but I haven't forgiven him yet. I'm sure maybe one day I can, because I know that that's something I have to do. I'll never forget it, but it might take a few more years before I can forgive him. If he's ever caught, maybe I can forgive him. But as long as he's out on the streets, roads, or whatever, I can't forgive him. I'd like to have 5 minutes with him with a knife.
The Talladega County Sheriff's Office is urging anyone with information to contact them at 256-761-2141. You can leave an anonymous tip at www.talladegasheriff.com.